wanted to talk a little bit about ogryn blitzes and their use case in Havoc 40, mainly because I've seen a large or a moderate increase of ogryn players, mainly pugs, running big box of hurt, mainly on melee builds, not like rumbler builds either. And frankly, I think it's not very good. I think it's one of the weakest blitzes in the game because of a few reasons, which I'll get into. But I think in Mortis Trials, it is the best pick, and in Orc, it's decent enough. But in Havoc, it just falls off greatly. And the reason I think that is the one thing it's good at is CC, and it's not very good at it, which is pretty bad, right? Um, if you were to run Fire Away, it does, stack up to the full stacks on a nice little clump of enemies, but frankly, 8 stacks of burn damage for 1 extra point is it's not very good in my opinion. Big Boom is okay if you're running like a rumbler focused build, but that increases the effectiveness of Frag Bomb anyway. So I don't see a reason you would use this on like a kickback, or sorry, a rumbler lucky bullet build, let alone like a melee heavy hitter build. I don't think that the augment here for it is that good because the main source of stagger from Big Box of Hurt is from the initial sort of ring of explosion from the grenades, not necessarily the grenades that it spits out after. And the reason I think that the stagger is bad is because the radius in which it explodes and staggers enemies is very small, and after like the first thing, and then the additional grenades that it spits out after are very inconsistent. You can't really rely on their ability to stagger. And all of the grenades, the initial explosion and the grenades after, do a very like minuscule amount of damage. You don't throw this for damage, you throw it for CC. And I feel like you're only really going to notice the CC if enemies are in a choke, or if the enemies are light targets like ragers or gunners or something. For the larger, more imposing targets, it falls off very quick. It is equivalent, in my opinion, in a lot of cases, depending on the spacing of enemies and whatnot. It's going to have like equal or less CC than a few rumbler shots. And something like Taunt, which is, very, very good, very decently low cooldown, is going to, I would consider a better form of CC compared to Box of Hurt, which is pretty telling considering one is a ability and one is the blitz that doesn't regen. If this regen, it would obviously be a lot better. The fact that you only get 3 is pretty rough. I mean, you could say the same thing about Frag Bomb, I guess. I'll talk about that in a second. But whenever I get an ogryn, a general pug ogryn who's running Big Box of Hurt, this affects the course of the fight practically 0%. I've also played. Some of my friends are ogryn mains, and I would consider them some of the best ogryn in the game, or at least the ones that I've played with. And they've used this. They've tried to use it, and the way that they've used it, in my opinion, has been like their best use case. And even then, it's hard to go, oh wow, that saved us, or oh, that really, that changed how the fight went, because they're so insignificant. And the fact that you're taking grenades away from even the veteran, like I feel like feeding grenades to the veteran is going to generally be better than, using these and then taking grenades away from them, if they need them. If the fight is spiraling out of control and there's grenades on the ground, a lot of the time, feed them crack grenades or feed them smoke grenades, and you're going to just have a better result. And then Frag Bomb, people make the argument about not taking Frag Bomb because you only get one of them, which I can kind of get because again, pug ogrins that take this love to throw it for damage. They love to just wing it, right? And that's honestly not a great use of this. You have to use it sparingly, and when you do use it in the correct situation, it is absolutely game changing. Okay. It doesn't kill everything like what did when it released with like twins. It's not one-shotting crushers. And I think that's a very wrong way to think about the splits. It is a full reset for your team 9 times out of 10 if you use this correctly. It allows you to just fully reset. It takes away, or it doesn't take away the danger, but it takes a very bad situation and it doesn't nullify it, but it definitely allows you to, increase your chances of survival, to like reposition, to take out a priority target, to get a res, which I've seen a lot of people use this in a lot of different ways, and I rarely see any value, let alone game changing value from big box of hurt. You just have to be really, really careful of how you use it. And again, I've played with my ogryn friends who use frag bomb mostly, and again, it's game changing. Like the way that they use it has saved runs. You just have to be careful. And then of course, rock movement tech is good on it. Uh, Not really why you're taking it, I guess, necessarily, but it allows you to, dispatch specials in one shot, which is nice. If there's another ogryn who's running frag bomb, sometimes I'll swap to rock. But generally, I think even 2 frag bombs is pretty good. And I say this as a person that does like running grenades on other classes, and I really don't mind sharing frag bomb. Um, because if they're using them correctly, it is, in my opinion, just the best split still by far. Not necessarily for the reasons it once was, back when it could kill crushers and whatnot, or close to kill crushers, but it is the best CC tool compared to BBoH, in my opinion.